Welcome to Let's Talk About It, the podcast, where we shine a light on the change agents and everyday heroes who shape our communities. Here, we dive deep into the lived experiences of our guests, exploring the milestone moments that have either propelled them forward or changed their paths. We anchor every conversation in two foundational pillars of the Black community: books and music. Through this unique lens, we capture, entertain, and inform, weaving a rich tapestry of stories and insights that resonate, inspire, and spark meaningful dialogue. Join our hosts, TJ Lowry and Shatima Grisham, as they engage with thought leaders and community change agents to uncover the rich tapestry of experiences that shape our lives. Get ready for insightful discussions, unfiltered perspectives, and the celebration of Black excellence. Let's talk about it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk About It, the podcast. I'm your girl TJ, and I'm so excited to welcome you back. Get in here, get in here, get in here. So we're in a new studio home. You see it, it look good, right? We also are excited for the new year and have changed the format a little bit. We think you'll be excited about what we're bringing. We're going to talk about what's happening out in the culture and the intersection of HR. What will we have done, where they have gone wrong, and just really give our input. But before we get into today's show, I must introduce my co-host. Y'all know my girl Shatima. How you doing, Shatima?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there.
Good. Well, I'm excited. New year, new format. We have our guest here, so we're excited about getting going. The universe has given us a lot of things to talk about as far as hot topics.
What you think about our new house?
I love our new house.
Yeah,
I love our new producer, our new house. Definitely looks good.
Yeah, he swagged out, right? So who are you introducing us to today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited about introducing our new guest, Iynna Baker. She is the People Support Manager for SWCA. She also owns her own business, New Age Vision, which specializes in skincare and waist beads. She is also the VP of Branding and Marketing with BHRS, which is close and dear to our heart.
Yeah.
So we're excited about her coming in and being our first guest in our new format today.
Yes.
Welcome, Iynna.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be the first guest, too. That's an honor, so thank you.
Yes, it is. You're honor-worthy, girl. You know you are. And it really is. It gives us a chance to talk about BHRS a little bit, too. So we're excited to have you. Yeah. What motivated you to join the Black HR Society? Tell us a little bit about your role and what the people can expect this year from you and your team.
Awesome. Good question. The motivation was, first off, I didn't even know there was an organization that was specialized in supporting Black HR professionals. So that was like, threw me over the moon. And then the mission of giving back to the community through our expertise, making sure that we leave HR a better place than we found it, especially for people of color. So that is my why, and I want to be a part of that. So I'm excited. Being a part of branding and communication, 2025 is going to be a dynamic year. We're going to have a lot more content, a lot more engagement. We want to definitely make sure we get our faces in front of our members. We want to shout out our members. We have some incredible members with a lot of talent, a lot of expertise, and we really want to make sure that we are standing out and showcasing our differentiators by, really showing that we are the HR expertise to go to.
Yeah. And along with the theme of, being a new year, we have a new website. So we're excited about our new website. And we also have new branding materials. So we're moving on up.
Yeah, you even had a little tablecloth branded. Iynna got the board member of the year year before, 23, and still just killed it in 24. And so you've always been a pleasure to have on the team. And so beautiful in spirit and outside. She was my lock crush too, y'all. So we laugh about that as I went into that journey. I had to say, tell me, Iynna, because her locks are gorgeous.
Oh,
So,
thank
love
you,
that.
thank you. It really is an honor to be a part of the Black HR Society and to partner with Shatima and you, TJ. So I'm grateful. I'm really getting more out of it than probably you
I'm
guys.
the newest member of this group to that team, so I definitely felt the same way. I was looking to join a board, and I wanted to give my gifts and talents back to our community first. I feel like we represent a very high population in HR, especially Black women, and so I wanted to kind of start there. So when I saw the marketing and the branding on LinkedIn and reached out, that was the reason why I joined as well, just to give back and give some of this knowledge, because there are disparages, in the workplace. It's a different experience sometimes for us. And so being able to tell people who look like me, like, this is what really happens in HR, and this is what this means, and, you're being worked out or, not hired or whatever the case may be, was definitely a driver for joining the team. So I am excited that you put this together, TJ, and we've met so many great people, and we have great members as well.
Yeah, the goal is to support. Being in HR is tough in general, but when you are Black in corporate, we know that is a completely different experience that people cannot relate to. And being in HR, we have so many things that we're privy to and we can't really share. And it's really good to have a safe space to use and tap into resources. I'm dealing with some stuff. And so that's what the goal and the mission is. And also to create this vortex where now we're helping the community get equitable employment. Y'all need resume reviews. We've got some coaching sessions coming up this year. So I'm really excited about the impact that we can and will make in the community this year. And so this team is doing that along with the rest of the board.
So can you share a bit about your journey from HR compliance to diversity, equity, and inclusion? We know that's a sweet spot for you.
Yes. So my HR journey did not start in compliance. It was employee relations. And after way too long in employee relations, I realized that you tend to get burned out.
Yes.
And then the industry that I was in, we were always understaffed in HR. So that just made it even harder to really enjoy the profession. So I wanted to get into something that I wasn't very strong in. I wanted to broaden my resume, and so compliance. And when I came over to SWCA, the director at the time was like, I got you. I'm going to train you up to be a compliance specialist. And so I was super excited about that. It was also a plus because, compliance is behind the scenes. You don't get a lot of employee relations stuff. So I was,
no babysitting, right?
And it really, compliance, I think for me is where my heart is, because you really are shaping the culture through policy, through making sure that you are compliant with legal expectations. So I really enjoy that part. And that's a way for HR for us to give back. A lot of times what we do, they say we're not billable or we're not
revenue generating,
right?
So being in compliance, knowing that you had the law and the culture drive, did you find that you were able to be more influential in the organizations?
Oh, absolutely, because a lot of times through compliance you find those gaps, and those gaps are where we're at risk as a company. So being able to present those gaps, especially during strategy meetings or any opportunities to help reduce, is a cost saving. So especially when you are, as a HR professional, when you're talking to senior leadership, you always want to make sure you incorporate how it affects the business. So I'm always looking for those things.
And I feel like the hiring managers or the executives tend to respect the recommendations of the compliance manager more so than the business partner or the employee relations, because you're dealing more with people on that side, and the compliance all is like, no, this was the law. It was passed. You cannot do that. It's like black and white versus the employee relation. You're like, I recommend some coaching, or maybe you should probably terminate them, and they don't take those recommendations. But I found the compliance manager carries a little bit weight when they step into the room and says, hey, did you know an audit was supposed to happen?
Yeah.
And you're supposed to do A, B, and C. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, we love our compliance managers.
See, I think it's a unique role. Like, not many companies have it. Iynna is my compliance officer. We don't have one. And she know. I brought her in to meet my team.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We talked to my HR coordinators because it's not something most companies have. And I asked the question because I feel like it's difficult if it's the right thing to do it. Right? Unless I can say, well, legally we have to, or you know, and I mentioned we have to then clean it up when they don't take.
Well, maybe that's the personal service announcement. Get you a compliance manager.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to dive into some hot topics and talk about what's happening, Shateem, out here. Now, you know I don't watch the news. Right. My news is social, which is horrible because it's my algorithm telling me what's happening outside. And so I need you to help me understand what is happening outside.
Yeah. So I do watch the news. I try not to, but it's hard because then I'm a person who wants to be in the know. So it starts on Instagram and then I'm in Google, CNN, MSN. But there is definitely a lot cooking these days, specifically the California fires.
Yeah.
You know, we know, and I know I'm a native of Arizona, and I always say my native friends and families, we have California cousins and family members, specifically in LA, since it's only 6 hours away, and the Bay Area is 12. So, you know, watching it on the news, they have wildfires every year, all the time, and they're always very, you know, just devastating. But this one seems to be a mess. Like, it has just came through and took out like the whole community, the whole city. Has anybody had anybody affected by the fire?
Not personally. A lot of our coworkers, though, have had family.
Yeah.
We actually have a coworker who is going down to Los Angeles to help with the recovery, and so a lot of us have come together and to provide support. But luckily, my family's San Diego, so we weren't really impacted.
I was curious because I know you have California roots, but same for us. We have a team member who decided to take donations and, you know, even provided a list of things that would be valuable and drove them to Cali.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was admirable. I also find it interesting that the county or the community that was burned down, Altadena, was a primarily Black community. Why isn't that like mainstream news? Because it is honestly giving me Tulsa, right? It's giving me when those communities are
Black
too
Wall
rich,
Street.
then we are going to burn them down. And so those people are struggling because those homes were paid off because
Generational
they had
homes.
been, generational homes, and now are going to be displaced. And so that bothers me. I'm very concerned about that aspect too, because are these people now going to come to Arizona, and what is that going to do for realty, right?
Yes, they're coming. That's probably for sure. I have a lot of family members in LA, and thankfully, for the most part, they're all well. I had a cousin whose school, her kid's grade school, was burnt. And then I did have an older cousin in Altadena, so I don't know him personally, a little, you know, closer to my parents' age, but they did lose their home down there that they had been in for 60 years. So it's completely, you know, just devastating to watch, and it's still burning and not contained. You know, from an HR perspective, you know, what resources can, you know, do these, you know, families have that may have been displaced? Like, what do you do if this was one of your employees who is, you know, now displaced, had a house that morning and now it's completely gone? You know, for your own experiences or in your individual companies, what resources, you know, should we look for?
Yeah, because they don't have the money for Airbnbs or, you know.
Not in California.
FEMA's already declining claims, and even if they got it, where are they sending those notifications? You know, it's just really a struggle, and I feel bad for those people. I want y'all to come to Arizona. Come on over, you know, but it definitely impacts the entire surface around California, and that includes us.
I know, you know, a lot of people, I have to remind them, you know, there's EAP, employee assistant programs that a lot of companies have. California is the hub to a lot of those companies. even tapping into their FMLAs and those extended leaves and calling their different, medical insurance companies. There got to be some trauma that is coming from, losing everything you owned. And so I would encourage anyone who, is impacted by that or displaced to reach out to their HR teams at their companies and ask for those resources that are not always publicized. We always sell medical, dental, and vision, but there's that EAP program, financial assistance, and things like that may be available that they may or may not, know about.
Yeah, and I think the impact of those individuals, we know is bad, right? And we're like, oh, but think about, you have 2 dogs, your home is, now you got to go to an Airbnb that doesn't take dogs.
Right.
And in order to get them fostered, they're like, where's their records? Where's their food? And you don't have anything. And so I think there is a very difficult experience that those people individually are going through. Absolutely. That, I want people to recognize and be empathetic to those experiences. So hopefully we'll see some good news come out of this. I mean, it's just it's horrible for us right now.
I think we do, really well as Americans when there are these travesties. That's when you see the best of us.
Absolutely.
You always see all the negative things that happen, but I feel like when especially these natural disasters, although this doesn't sound too natural, but that may be my own conspiracy theory.
I heard that too.
We do really well in that space of helping and being charitable, and obviously a lot of celebrities are reaching out, and a lot of celebrities lost their homes as well. So definitely prayers up for those individuals that are displaced from there.
Yeah, I think that's the good I'm looking for, the people coming
Absolutely.
together. So the good in us to support those people going through. So thank you, Shatima. Going on to the next topic, girl.
Well, DEI, it never fails us. It seems to be a hot topic.
What is DEI for the people that don't know?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Some would say DEIA, accessibility, right? Right, Miss Compliance over there.
Let's lean into it. Let's do it.
Well, where do we start? Let's start with Amazon. Have you heard the newest thing with Amazon as far as their DEIs? They're slowly kind of removing any protective languages or protective programs that they have in place for Blacks or LGBTIA or
so resource groups, employee resource group, they're getting rid of those
resource groups, any of their programs, and it's just the newest trend, right? A lot of companies are kind of leaning into that. Have you heard of any of that at Amazon? Caught up on that?
Not Amazon in particular, but I have heard of McDonald's and other industries that are pulling away from it. And I think it's just the fear of the unknown from the new administration.
Don't tiptoe, girl. We know where you want to go.
Tell us more.
Threatening their funding is enough to make anyone, right, from a business perspective, start to re-look at some of their programs. And like I said, that unknown factor, well, I shouldn't say unknown. It's been very loudly spoken that they will be pulling funding and possibly dismantling organizations because of DE&I. It makes sense that companies have that fear. It's unfortunate, but I get it. Some companies, though, I really respect that they are doubling down.
Costco.
Costco.
I love Costco.
Yep.
Costco's doubling down. Okay, I can keep my membership.
There you go. And a lot of companies are rebranding, right? They're going to play that game of, we're not going to call it DE&I. We'll call it inclusive team or something else. And I appreciate that too. I think the problem that we will see, though, is we have millennials and Gen Z who are all about inclusion. And we are going to see a change in employment when you start pulling back these things that they fought so hard to have in place, right? Like employee resource groups, 10 years ago, you didn't know what that was. Gen Z and millennials were like, we need these. So taking those things that are so important to the workplace is really, really going to have an impact on your overall morale and engagement from your employees. So we'll see. And then we work so hard, right, to have pay transparency. And so many states are rolling out pay transparency. That is threatening to be taken away,
throw that away, too?
It's all part of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one of the things I was curious about as you were talking about this, one, you shifted into DEI. Now, how is that going to impact you? But is there a feel that the people that are shifting out of it was doing it for the checkbox? Right, I feel like the Costco's are doubling down because we believe in this,
Right.
And so it concerns me that so many people are so quick to be like, okay, we don't got to do it, okay.
Absolutely.
And so it was more about the compliancy of and also doing what's happening, and so I have concerns about that and how it impacts your new role.
First of all, I totally agree with you. There are some companies that really were not sincere in their approach towards DE&I, and we can see that because they're so easily willing to pull back from that. So I totally agree with you on that. It makes me a little concerned because I'm invested emotionally into the DE&I. I don't want to say movement, but I think that is the direction that we should be going to as employers or as a global community, making sure that the workplace represents the community is key, right? When I come to work, I want to feel like I bring my whole self, that I'm respected, whether I have a disability, whether I'm a woman, whether I'm a veteran, and having that being told by my employer that that's no longer important, or who I am is no longer important. It's really is distracting and disheartening. So,
yeah, I also think that a lot of people are just misinformed.
Absolutely.
I think when they think of DEI, they think of like affirmative action hires, and you're in that role because you're a woman, because you're black, because you're over 40. And those programs are bigger than that.
Absolutely.
And they miss the being, the inclusiveness of it. They miss the mental health of being able to show up as your whole self. And so whenever I have these conversations with people, I'm like, that's not true. Like, you're misinformed. Like, that's not what that is for. That's not why that was put in place. And I feel like, you saw an increase in these programs and these roles around that George Floyd, all these, social media posts. We support the hiring and the equity of this, and we are going to do this. And they built these roles. And now, 3, 4, 5 years later, they're removing those programs because they just didn't know what, to do with them. But
absolutely,
I think the perception of that DEIA program, people are just misinformed.
Absolutely.
I think that's generous, right? I think it's generous for you to say they're misinformed. There could be a mix of that, but I feel like it is just the culture of America. They aren't really interested in doing it. And in many spaces, I think they did it to be compliant.
Absolutely.
Right? When George Floyd happened, everybody was interested. And
Every
when
CEO
companies
had a
were
comment.
asking them to pull up, it was a struggle, right, internally. And if we talk to people who were in those DEI roles, they felt exhausted because they weren't really getting support. They weren't really getting, and so there could be a mix of that, but I don't think they really were embracing it for the return it could have, right? Me being a Black individual at work, it has been my life to be the only one.
Absolutely.
Right? And so some things became normal, microaggressions, and you deal with it. But it really impacts us. And so I don't believe that they really embraced it for the return it should have in caring about the people. And so that's why I say
they didn't even
generous.
know what type of return they were supposed to get.
Right.
We're supposed to have this. We're going to check the box. We're going to buy our token person, put them in there in that space, and then build a program for us that's going to impact.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think if businesses really sit and think, and there's studies out there to show that a diverse workplace, you're more productive, you have bring in more revenue, more ideas for growth. So to pull back from that is really like saying, I don't want to be successful 5-10 years down the line.
Not a good business move, is it? And that's what I mean. They weren't looking at the data to make those decisions. They were looking at, this is what's happening. We better get in line.
Right.
Yeah. And now, it's going away. Great. Let's take it away. And so I don't believe that there was full embracing of the data and really trying to say we want to help our people, except for the Costco's, except for, those companies that said, no, we want this. So
it's impacting the colleges too. a lot of those Ivy League things pulled out, their affirmative, action
right.
and hiring piece. So there's definitely going to be a huge impact on that. But like you said, these Gen Zs, even, some of the younger millennials, they're not going for all of that.
They're
and
not.
I see
Yeah.
that shifting in a different direction soon. It may just be called something else.
I agree.
So I think we have time for one more topic, and I just must get into my girl. So tell us what's happening with this last topic.
Miss Jasmine Crockett,
That's it.
Representative Jasmine. I think
Yes,
it's on
Jasmine
point
Crockett.
because she shows up as her authentic self, and I'm here for
Absolutely.
it. I have to turn the volume up whenever she's going in. And have you heard the latest with her and Representative Nancy Mace?
I
Who
did.
basically said, if I could paraphrase, catch me outside. Like,
Yes.
meet me outside.
She said, catch me outside.
Yes.
And because she said, child, and Jasmine being herself, she was not calling her a child.
Yeah.
And I was so entertained because Jasmine gonna let y'all have it, I'll give me my time, because
Yeah.
the lady kept talking over her, but she was frustrated with Jasmine and said, well, we can take this outside. Now, I felt like it was a little bit of appropriation because, we say we can go outside,
Yeah.
No, I took it as a threat.
Yeah.
It
You
was.
called for me, I'm coming. Like, that's what I said. But I feel like, I had a similar situation happen at work where, I'm like, well, why are you being uberly aggressive with me? Because that doesn't happen with
Yeah.
anybody else. You know what I mean? And I feel like every time she shows up and she has her appointed time to ask questions, and we've all seen Senate hearings and, congressional hearings, they get like, it's personal when they're
Yeah.
asking you those questions. If you remember, like the Hillary Clinton ones, they were all up in her business. When she does it, all of a sudden all this aggression comes back to
Right.
her, where I feel like the men do it all the time when they're asking questions. When Fossey was sitting there being interrogated, they were like going in on him, but none of this catch me outside, none of this, shaking their heads and all this other stuff. But whenever she has her time, which is only a few minutes to ask a few questions, I feel like they're always like uberly aggressive
Yeah.
in the return, and she gives it to them.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm here for it. You sent for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they do it intentionally too, because they know that they will get a reaction from her, whether it is thoroughly laid out like she does and
Yes.
professional.
Agreed.
They know that, and she'll be a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of them use her in that way,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because those are opportunities where they could really put out something of value instead of catch me out.
I mean, her reads, though,
Are
is
the classic.
deadly, and they are giving me Phaedra of Real Housewives. Because Phaedra be like real professional with that read. You be like, oh, she read me.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what they don't like about Jasmine, her poise in the read. She be so
Absolutely.
spot on, and they don't have a defense to that.
No.
And so that's where the threat comes in. Take
Absolutely.
me outside. We can go outside. And
Absolutely.
it's like, wow, like
Yeah.
that is so just overtly aggressive in my opinion. So very good. Well, good show. I really appreciate you coming in and chatting with us, Iynna. Tell the people where they can find you on social.
Yep. Iynna Baker on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Also New Age Vision on all socials as well. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Shout out to
very
New Age
good.
Vision.
New
I
Age
love that body
Vision.
cream.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
thank
at
you.
Archwood on the first Fridays?
Sometimes we do first Fridays or first Saturdays.
First Saturdays. Tell the people where they can come buy the stuff.
Yeah, Archwood first Saturdays. You can find us Tempe Marketplace second Sundays, and it varies depending on what's going on in the community.
good.
Summertime, you're not gonna find us outside much because it's hot.
No, we ain't.
But you can also find us online too at newagevision.llc.com.
Very good. Thank you, Iynna.
Well, welcome. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really
Such a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. It's always a good time when we are all together. Once again, I'm Shatima Gresham. I am the CEO of Procure Talent Management Group, which is an HR consultant firm. I'm also the VP of Professional Development and Membership with BHRS. I have the pleasure of working with these lovely ladies. You can catch PTMG on all of the social platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can chat with me at shatimawewannatalkaboutit.com.
Very good. I also want to give a shout out to the Black HR Society, our sponsors, who make a meaningful difference in the lives of Black HR professionals here in the Valley and soon to be in your state. You can find Black HR Society on all social platforms at the Black HR Society on IG. If you want to be a guest on our show, you know somebody who wants to be a sponsor, you can hit me up, TJ at wewannnatalkaboutit.com. We really appreciate you sitting in with us today and hope to see you back next time. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into Let's Talk About It, the podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and found inspiration in the stories and experiences shared. We trust that you were entertained, learned something new, and felt inspired by today's show. Be sure to subscribe, like, follow, share, and join us for the next episode. Until then, keep the conversation going and let's keep talking about it.